Pranamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata Cha Pitattvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakattvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mamadeva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. Hari Om. We are doing the series on self-realization, and in the last talk says how to realize in terms of what's involved in realization. I had to look at the mind. So who has to look at the mind? If the mind has the wrong notions, that's important, and it has the mind that has to examine. So in order to examine properly, the scripture says go to a teacher to find out how to examine. That's exactly what the Vedanta means. Vedanta means go to a teacher who is well established and who knows how to do it, and who has gone through all problems in realization, and therefore is an expert in all that, and expert in failures also. He knows why people fail also, because he has gone through everything. And therefore go to approach a teacher, and tadvidhi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya. Krishna says that in order to know it, go with the humility. Why humility? Why doesn't say, sir, please teach me? Because we are approaching a subject where he doesn't have to teach. He is reveling in himself by himself, and for him he is only Brahman, everything. He doesn't have to teach anything. He is jnani, or in that state. So we have to pull him down. Sir, come down to my level where I am struggling with the samsara. Recognize my problem and please help me so that I can also realize what that highest truth is. So therefore, a teacher has to come down as the student goes up. So for teacher has to come down to meet my requirements. So you see different types of teachers and different types of teachers approaching different types of teachers. So people went to Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi and tried to sit there, and he was not teaching anything. Says, inquire who are you? Inquire who is the one who is inquiring. You sit in front of him and you won't know. So he is teaching as though in silence. Inquire who is the observer of the silence, who is silent. So essentially he is at that level where people have to raise up to level in order to understand. So in the Dakshinamurti, where Lord Shiva is teaching all the jnanis, Lord Shiva is young and everybody is old there. So Maunam Vyakya Prakatita Brahma Tattvam Yuvanam. So this teacher who is weighing, he's teaching what? How? By Mauna Vyakya, by the silence. So the students who are able to understand through silence what that is can only understand. Otherwise, they will get bored. What is he doing? He is just sitting there and I am sitting there. Therefore, not everybody are prepared mind to grasp what is being taught in silence. So, Mauna Vyakya Prakatitam is elaborately discussing in silence. So it essentially talks about the Chin Mudra. Chin Mudra, that's called the Lord Shiva teaching. Chin Mudra is this how he teaches, by putting a mudra there. So what is the Chin Mudra? This is also dance mudra also. So what is called, why is it called Chin Mudra? It says this is because this thumb is considered as a Brahman, because it's separate from all the four. So therefore it is essentially away from the four, and without the Brahman you cannot really grasp any object tightly. You need the thumb one side and all other four in order to hold anything together. And therefore thumb is very important. That's why in the Dronacharya, Ekalavya story, he says, give me your thumb. So that's very unfair, looks like. But the reason he is asking thumb is because the student is tapping the knowledge without the awareness of the teacher. That's where the problem is. It's not that he is punishing the Ekalavya. I mean, this may be out of the, right? It's not punishing the Ekalavya. Ekalavya is a student who put the image of the Dronacharya and learning in the process, as though tapping all the knowledge from him. And Dronacharya was surprised. He said, where did you learn this? He says, I learned from you. You are my master. How did you learn? So he showed all the process that he has. So essentially he is learning without the permission of the teacher, gaining, extracting, taking away, stealing from his property. Therefore the punishment is that he should not use it for anything other than that. So therefore only way to ensure is because he may use it. In fact, he was in the other side, in the adharma side, in fighting against Arjuna. So the thumb has to be removed in order to save the dharma. So that's why the Dronacharya asked, give me the thumb. Not because he wants to punish and he wants to make Arjuna the greatest. All those things are side stories. But the fact is, the person was stealing the knowledge without the permission of the teacher. And since I had going there requesting the highest knowledge, I had to ask him, please teach me. That's why humility helps in terms of, oh, is that so? I don't think so. If you start to say, go and do yourself then. So there is a famous Zen story. Zen story is a student want to learn. So he has written what all the requirements of my teacher so that I can learn. So he says number 1, 2, 3, 4 about he has many steps where the teacher should satisfy all those requirements. And he is looking for a teacher who fulfills all those requirements. So he went to teacher and this teacher doesn't have this teacher doesn't have this. So he rejecting every teacher, and at last he found one teacher who fulfills all his criteria. That means he is the teacher who has all the qualifications required according to him to teach. So he goes to the teacher and tells him, I have been looking for a teacher and I have these requirements to fulfill and no one is able to fulfill other than yourself. So you are my teacher, please teach me. So the teacher says, I am glad I am fulfilling your requirements, but I have to see whether you fulfill my requirement. So what is that? He says, come here. So he takes him to a well and there is a bucket there and a rope there. So you tie the rope to the bucket and take the water out and fill up the tank here. If you do that, then you are qualified. So, oh, that's simple. Then when you look at the bucket doesn't have a bottom. So how can you fill up the water with the bottomless bucket and fill up the whole tank, all this? Sir, how can I do this? This is impossible. There is no way I can take and fill up with that because the bucket doesn't have a bottom. And the teacher said, don't I know that? You are required because you are not able to have a faith in the teaching itself, and you wanted a teacher to fulfill, but you do not have the qualification to learn. You should have a Shraddha, faith. And maybe the teacher himself would have put a hand there or a magic in order to close the bucket if he has the faith. Therefore, that's why I call Padmapada. I don't know if you know the story of that. He walked on the water to reach the Acharya when Acharya calls, because even though it's a water, with the faith in the teacher, he just walked. And wherever he was stepping, there was a stone supporting him. That's what the story is. So anyway, here the faith is essential ingredient for learning. This is, we said, very important for any learning. I should have a faith in the teacher. When I'm sitting in the physics class and the physics teacher is telling me about quantum mechanics, and the teacher say, I have a lot of questions, but I'm assuming that the teacher knows what he's teaching, and I don't understand, and if I don't understand, I ask appropriate questions so that he can teach. A right teacher is the one who says that if I don't know, I will go and look in the book and then tell you back, or I will guide you to some other teacher who knows better. That's the right teacher, because he has to fulfill his obligation of teaching what he knows. So Krishna says, Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya. You approach a teacher with the full faith. Pranipata means like lying flat like a stick. That means with complete humility, and ask appropriate questions. Don't go to a chemistry teacher and ask physics questions there. He said, I don't know, go to physics teacher. So when you go to the Vedanta teacher, you don't ask about why the India and Pakistan are fighting. You don't need that. You need to ask only those appropriate questions that are relevant for your knowledge to go the highest one. The relative knowledge is not important there. The highest knowledge, that is called Vedanta, has to be known through the teacher. So you have to ask appropriate questions related to that. Based on your questions, the teacher will know how much you know and how much you don't know. So therefore you say, sir, tell me who I am. So in the Upanishad, different students ask different questions, and you get a different answers depending on the questions, and from answers he takes to the highest value. So teach me that knowledge, knowing which I know everything. Kasmin no bhagav vijñāte sarvamidam vijñātam bhavati. A student in the Mundaka Upanishad asks that question. If you go to Kenopanishad, says, how does the mind see? How does the eye see? So he is not asking about biological process here, but he is asking the essence, because he is a Vedantic student to a Vedantic teacher. He wants to know it is the seer of the seen and the mind of the mind and the eye of the eye. Only an appropriate student who prepared for that can know. So therefore, one student has to go and ask the teacher. And Krishna says, he never said what happens to the teacher. Is he going to teach or not? It's assumed the teacher will teach, because the teacher himself went like this only to his teacher and gain the knowledge. Therefore, when you ask a teacher has to come down to your level and teach. So when I go to the Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi and ask him to explain the Vedanta and all that, he says, go to Vedanta teacher. I can only tell you, inquire who am I and what is that I am. So he will teach in that language. So for me to know how can that be and all rational questions, I need a teacher who is expert to answer in those kind of things. Therefore, I had to approach another teacher, even though the essence is the same. Depending upon the nature of the student, he approached appropriate teacher. We already said every teacher is the right teacher for the teacher, until I realized I had to go beyond that teacher also. That is what Swami Chinmayananda told the story, that why government in India is sending all sorts of teachers, only realist teachers they should send. That is what an American student was asking. And the Swamiji replied that when you go to shop, you buy what you need. Don't complain that why the manager is selling all sorts of things that you don't need it. It is their problem because they need only that and they need that, and if in order to go to better, they have to go through the process. By mistake, if you picked up the wrong thing, then return it. If it's America, they will take it. Next time you know that you have to watch what are the ingredients and what you need, and only take what you need, not the things that what you don't need. So a student has to be selective in selecting the teacher appropriate. So it is the student that has to discover that he is my teacher. No teacher will say, I am your teacher. If somebody says, I am your teacher, just leave from there. You have to discover that he is my teacher. How do you discover? By gaining the knowledge. Says, yes, I am learning from him. I am able to gain. I am able to appreciate. Therefore, he is my teacher. kind enough to teach me. So a student has to discover this is my teacher. And my teacher is realized master, so that I have a faith in the subject. If my teacher is not realized, but I want to learn from him. So the very fact that you say my teacher is not realized, that means you do not have proper Shraddha of what he says. Whether teacher realized or not is immaterial. The student has to have a faith. Shraddha becomes an important ingredient for learning, and this being a subtle subject, you need utmost Shraddha. Therefore humility is maintained, humility is emphasized. And Shraddhavan labate jnanam, Krishna declares in the 4th chapter, there's only those who have the Shraddha. We'll talk about later what happens if I don't have Shraddha, or if I have partial Shraddha, and where the obstacles come. Krishna, in fact, those ashraddhavan, those who do not have the Shraddha will not realize. And where are the obstacles for realization? We will discuss at that time. We have not complete Shraddha. We have Shraddha enough to listen, but not appreciate what he says as a fact. All this will come in terms of self-realization. So you approach a teacher and so on and so forth. So how do I recognize? Because the mind has the wrong notions, and the wrong notions have to be cleared out because it's not ready to inquire. What are the wrong notions? How we inquire? All that we need to discuss now. So a buddhi, the mind that has wrong notions, has to go to a Vedanta class. So srotavyaha, mantavyaha, nijidhyasitavyaha. You have to listen to, srotavya means listen to the teacher, ask questions and get clarifications, discuss until the mananam, reflecting on the teaching until it is crystal clear. How one became many, why it should become many, all is. Just now somebody asked me a question in terms of avidya and maya. So if maya is the Shakti and there is no ignorance in the Ishvara, is Sarvajna, so why did he create the whole universe? It's a standard question. Why did Lord create the whole universe? It doesn't have any other work or what? We answered this to the degree before. Says, why did he create? You have to go and ask the Ishvara only, because you cannot ask me. You have to ask the teacher, why did he create? And some Acharya says, this is all Leela, is a play. It is a Leela Vibhuti. It is a play of the Lord. So there no problem. But why is he having a play at my expense? Because I am suffering because of his play. So if that question comes, then you have to really inquire why and why not and all that. So therefore, what contributes to the creation and all that is being explained clearly in the Vedanta. And is that way that is this is until I go beyond the question to see what is the truth. When I discover the truth, then I realize that there is no creation even. But that comes only after knowledge. But until then, my mind, a curious mind, has to be satisfied to go to the next step. And when you go to the next step, you drop the previous steps. That's what is called abjaropa apavada, dropping the previous notions to go to higher level, until once I understand all that is essentially a requirement in order to reach that state. Once you reach that state, you say there is no really path and all those things come into picture. There is no truth, is a pathless land. All the statements make sense only from sitting there in the top. Okay. But for the person who is sitting there looking for a path, you say truth is a pathless land. Okay, that's good. Then what am I going to do? You will ask the next question. So what am I going to do? Why are you asking? Because you are asking for a path again. When they said no path, sir, that's good, but I am here. What am I going to do? So you cannot give. You have to say yes. Come beta, for you there is a path. You come upstairs until you realize that there is no path. So all that is required. That's why Swami Paramarthananda gives you a beautiful example where a fellow, I think we discussed that in before, that fellow who has, wife has given him a chain and he goes all the way to show it to his friend and show that chain. But when he was, after discussing all other politics in the world, he comes back after an hour or two, then discovered that there is no chain in his neck because he thought he left it there. So he ran all the way there Only when the student, when the friend says, hey, you are running all the way, you came all the way, but chain is with you only, you are not able to see it properly, it is folded in your collar. So once he is satisfied, then he is back. So he never lost a chain, but he went in search of chain, thinking that the chain is not there. So 4 miles he has to run, and was the 4 miles running necessary to discover that he already an owner of chain? In principle, it's not necessary, but for him it's necessary. Therefore, 4 miles of running was necessary to discover that 4 miles of running was not necessary. So all this is important to discover that there is no creation even, there is no Ishvara to create, it's only Atma, Anatma, it's only my own glory, I projected the whole thing, I can withdraw anytime I want. That is the nature of the knowledge, and that's the nature of self-realization. So for that mind to be happy to inquire further, first go through all the process of Srotavyaha, Sravanam and Mananam are required. If the mind is prepared, that itself is sufficient when the teacher says you are that. So with that background now we inquire, how am I going to realize? This is what I am. Say all the things are good, sir. I prepared my mind. Still I need to know how. Since you're asking the question for the one who is not able to see, this is where the process comes into picture for those minds who can meditate. That's called nididhyasitavyaha, or where meditation becomes a process of understanding or revealing the truth that's pointed out by the science. So by the science here, Vedanta, the science is pointing in the direction, now I have to look in that way. So what is that? We use the same reflection theory to understand the Vedanta and also self-realization. What's the reflection theory? So we said that the whole universe is lighted, right? The same way, when I'm in the pitch dark room, we started with that example. In a pitch dark room, I could not see anything. Why? It is too dark for me to see. Darkness is covering all objects that I want to see. Therefore, it is the darkness that is, the object may be there, or presence of the object, or the absence of the object, I do not know, because it's completely dark. I am a seer, I have an instrument to see. Through my mind, through my eyes, I can see. But it's too dark, the things are not convenient enough for me to see. That is the situation. When the light is turned on, now I see there's a chair, there's a table, there's this, all other things that are there are visible. I see a chair there, and I don't see any pots there. I see chair and a table, but no pot. So now what am I doing? I am seeing the presence of a chair, presence of the table, and also presence of the absence of the pot. Also I am seeing. How about Gaga Boo Boo? Are you able to see Gaga Boo Boo? So what do you mean Gaga Boo? What is that? So for me to see its presence or absence before, I should know what Gaga Boo is there. Do you know that's the object there? Can you see? Yeah, I see something there. I don't know what it is. What is that? That's Gaga Boo Boo. So I am seeing some object which is called Gaga Boo Boo now, because I didn't know that it was Gaga Boo, although I am seeing it. So I am seeing a form, attributes, whose attributes, and including the form, color, taste, everything, are not triggering me in terms of past what is that object. I am seeing perception and the volition is taking place. Recognition is not there, because for me to recognize, I should have something in the memory. All these things we know, but we are itemizing it because we have to analyze deeply about it. So yes, I am seeing a chair there. Are you sure you are seeing a chair? Yes, I am seeing a chair. Could you see that chair when there is no light? No, I could not see that there is a chair. Now I can see because the light is there. Now inquire, what are you really seeing? Are you really seeing the chair? He says, yes, I am. No, you are not seeing the chair. So why? What do you mean? What do you say? Is the chair right there? So that's why now we have to understand the reflection theory. Light was not there, you could not see. When light was not there, you could not see anything. When the light came, only you could see. So in the presence of the light, you could see an object. So now light is that which makes the object known or seen. See, that's how we are defining. A light is that which reveals the object. Right? So that's how we define. What is a light now? Light is that which reveals the object, not the switcher and all that. We're not looking from the object. Because now the chair, presence of the chair is revealed. There the absence of pots are revealed. Absence of the pot is revealed. Presence of the chair is revealed. Now look at again the chair. What is that it's revealed? The light is falling on the chair. Now I am giving a more rationalistic explanation, scientific, so-called objective scientist analysis, not a Vedantic. We will come back to the Vedanta Paribhasha. Not Vedantic means not the Mimamsa theories and Advaita theories here. So when the light is falling on the chair, and the light that is falling on the chair gets reflected by the chair. Same way, reflection of the light by the moon. So light falling on the chair gets reflected by the chair, by the table, by anything that is objects. And the reflected light reaching my retina, forming an image of the chair. It's an image of the light reflection or reflected light from the chair. If there is no chair, there is no reflection coming. If there is a chair, there is an object, then I can see reflection. So for me to see reflection, there has to be an object to reflect. Without the reflection, then I cannot see any reflected light, because there is no reflection. Original light is there, which I cannot see. Original light I cannot see. So the light that is reflected by the chair, forming an image in my mind, in my retina, forming an image which is transmitted by the optical nervous system to the brain. Brain is still a matter. And that optical nervous system, in terms of neurons, is converted into a thought by program code that Lord has made. All this we discussed before, but by a thought of what? Thought of a chair. So chair is out there, but thought is in my mind. Thought is nothing but called in Sanskrit vritti. Vritti is a perturbation of the mind. So mind as though perturbed in the form of a vritti, and the vritti has properties of the attributes of the chair. In this case, the form and the shape and the color, because eyes is only seeing that. Chair is not making any noise, any other, I am not tasting the chair, any other sense is not involved here other than the sense of sight. So same way sense of hearing and all that can be applied to, say I see some lady in the next room. I am not seeing it, but from the sound I can see that there is somebody there, and by the female voice I see there must be lady in that other room. This is all the deduction from the perception. You say, yeah, aeroplane is going there, even though I don't see it. From the sound, from the direction that is coming. So therefore, the chair is out there, but chair is out there is known only because the senses are grasping, as though coming to the senses are grasping, or it's coming information to the sense of sight, where the sense of sight has to occur through the retina and all that process, and that is converted into a software as a thought. So thought content of the chair is is nothing but the object attributes of the chair. Reflected attributes. The chair is out there. The form of the chair is with the chair. I cannot remove the form of the chair from the chair. So I cannot separate anything. What can I separate? Only is the reflected form, because light is falling and the reflection depends on the form, on the light in which it's falling. I don't see the back side of the chair because that reflected light is not coming to my eyes. It's going to your eyes. You are on the other side. So I don't see the back side of the chair, but only the front side. So therefore, what I am seeing is a reflection of the attributes of the chair, not the original attributes. So original attributes belong to the object, cannot be separated. These are essential attributes that define the object. Chair is that. How do you define a chair? Chair is that which looks like this. And transactable will come back, but at least from the point of shape I can say this is a chair and there is a table and all that by looking at it. I don't have to sit on it to say that there is a chair there. It may be paper chair, it may be real chair looking like a paper, or plastic chair, it may be iron chair, I don't know. But from the point it is a chair that I see. So therefore depends upon the attributes content of the chair, I am getting a reflected attributes depending upon the reflecting and the my capacity of my eyes. If the chair has a particular color and if I am color blind to that color, then I won't see that color. So it's also senses become involved. Not only the object has its properties, but properties are reflected and my senses have to measure those properties for me to recognize those, and the thought content is whatever the reflection of that. This much is very clear, right? This is all science. So every object I see is a reflected light from that. And I cannot see the original light. The light is there, I may say bulb there, that's not what you're talking about. Life pervading everywhere cannot see. So the light is falling on my hand, therefore you can see the hand. If I remove the hand, the light that is where the hand was, you could not see, you will see a wall behind. Because you need a reflecting medium to recognize the presence of the light. That's what we said. So this becomes a very important, because I need a reflecting medium to recognize the original light. I need the mind to reflect consciousness to recognize the original consciousness. I need a thought to reflect the consciousness to recognize the original consciousness. All these things come important in the self, how to realize. We'll go into more details because this becomes very subtle, and we emphasize this because this becomes a meditation, and it's called Vedantic meditation, and that's what to be inquired. Inquiry requires a single pointed mind to look into this. With this we stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.